episode of Jay Leno's Garage. Once again, my favorite class of car, original and unrestored. It doesn't get much more original unrestored than this. This is a 1960 Lancia Appia Lusso. The only thing fairly new would be the tires, and even those look like they've been around for a while. But this is as it was when it left the factory. Let's meet Scott Posey. How are you? Good to see you, my friend.
Nice to see you, Jay.
You are the caretaker and the owner of this car, correct?
That is correct.
See, this is how car guys dress up. This is considered dressed up if you're a car guy. What do you mean, honey? This looks fine. No, go change. We're not going out. Well, what's wrong with this? But see, that's it. All right, I can see you're a real car guy. So tell us what we have here. It's beautiful.
I was fortunate enough to find this car in a completely unrestored state. It's the original paint, it's the original rubber, original chrome, everything about the car is original. It's a 1960 Lancia. It was designed by Michelotti.
Yeah.
It's the Lusso model, which is a luxury model, a two-door. And there were less than 500 of them built, Jay.
Oh, is that right? So this would, if you were like the owner of a company in Italy, this would be the American equivalent of what? Maybe the Cadillac or the big Imperial or the Galaxy, that kind of car, would you say?
I think it would be a little sportier than that. It
Well,
might be
all their cars are sportier, but it was the top of the line.
It was the top of the line.
Yeah.
For a two-door sedan.
Right, right.
There were certainly four-door sedans that had more luxury going for them.
And it has the classic V4 engine. I've got a Lancia Aurelia, a 58, and that's got that beautiful V6.
Right.
Designed by Vittorio Jano, I think it was.
I think you're right.
And it was the first V6. I think he also did the V4.
I believe he did, and
Yeah.
this configuration showed up originally in 1949 in the Ardea.
Oh, okay, okay. And Lancia is a fascinating car company. If you can make it more complicated and more expensive, they could do it, you know. But it's one of those things you get such joy, like when they open the hood of my Aurelia, they go, it's got all this little mechanism that holds the hood up. Most people just had a rod with a stick, and everything about Lancia is delicate and engineered, isn't it?
It's almost over-engineered,
Yeah.
really, and that mechanism that you're talking about for the hood really baffles people. It's good that we no longer have service stations where people take care of it for you.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of hoods would be bent.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. Now the car is steel, correct?
The car is steel. The doors are aluminum.
All right.
And this car was in Italy with the original family until it came to America 3 years ago. And most of that time it was stored indoors.
Right.
From what I understand, the last 3 years or so, it was in a carport where the weather could get to it, which is why you see the roof has got some surface rust.
Oh
and it's
boy,
lost
that's a
quite bit of
shame, isn't
paint.
it? You know, that always makes me mad when something, I don't mind in period if something deteriorates, but when somebody saved it.
All these years.
Yeah, and then later, yeah, it's too bad.
It's unfortunate, but the car speaks for itself. The way the doors open and close, and the fact that the bright work and the rubber has stayed as nice as it is, really is a testimonial to what they were building.
How many miles on it?
It's got 94,000 kilometers on it right now.
That's about what, 60,000 miles?
Just getting close to 68,000.
Okay.
The last oil change and service sticker is still in the door from Italy in 1977.
Oh.
And when I got the car, it had 4,000 kilometers more than that.
Wow.
So 4,000 kilometers in 40 years.
Wow, okay, yeah.
It's got several hundred more than that now since we were able to put it back on the road.
Now this does not have a transaxle. This has a traditional engine, transmission, Didion style.
That's correct.
Okay.
Didion style, rear-wheel drive.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So this was just a big, comfortable family car, executive car.
Right. It's funny that you use the word big, because by American standards in 1960, this is a little smaller than a Ford Falcon, which came out that year.
Yeah, yeah.
But for European standards, this was a long
Well, the
wheelbase.
roads were tiny and skinny, and gasoline was hugely expensive, especially after World War II. And you had to be quite wealthy. I mean, if you pulled up in this, you arrived, didn't you? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. This car was way beyond what the Duchevaux would have cost, or what a Fiat 500 would have cost.
And it's hard for people who were born maybe after 1980 to realize just how revered Lancia was as a car company. You know, Donald Osborne and I always have this argument. I remember hearing a story, and I think he proved me wrong, and he's probably right, but the story was that Lancia's son, who took over the company, he hated the fascists, so he joined the Communist Party for 2 weeks. And then he said, no, well, this sucks, and he left. But then when the Marshall Plan came in, and they were handing out money to Alfa Romeo and all these companies to build, they saw a Communist Party. No. So Lancia did not get any money. I don't know if that's true or not. I think it's probably not true. I can't remember the version that Donald told me. But anyway, they just had those kinds of problems where Alfa Romeo and other Italian and Fiat got money from the U.S. Lancia did not get anything. And so consequently, they had to struggle on their own with older tooling, and their cars were expensive, way more expensive than Alfas or Fiat.
One other school of thought is that they built a car that was too good.
Yeah.
There was no reason to buy a new one. People kept them for 10, 12, 15, or in this case, 40 years.
Wow. Oh, that's pretty amazing. Let's see, it does have some, it almost has some American look to it a little bit. But you got locking gas cap, which is a big deal.
That was a big deal.
5-speed or 4-speed?
4-speed.
4-speed transmission.
Yes, 4-speed transmission. A single fog light up front. Interestingly enough, the headlights are even original on this car.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still has the original headlights.
And something that's sort of American, because it was invented in America, was the horn ring. Most Europeans just had a horn in the center, whereas this had the ring. You could touch it at any point. Can we open the hood and see if your hood latches like mine?
Interestingly enough, there are interior lights on this car,
Right.
courtesy lights.
Right.
The left door operates the left one, the right door operates the right one.
Oh, there you
When
go.
you talk about over-engineering,
Yeah.
not one switch to turn them both on, but
Right.
let's spend money and have two
You
switches.
don't want to waste the extra light.
Or
And look at that engine, what a jewel, little tiny V4. And these, of course, for your brakes and suspension as well, or just brakes?
brakes and suspension.
Brake, oh, both in one. Oh, what is, you pull it up, and it's got tension, and the grease or the lubrication, whatever you're using for a lubricant, is in there, and the spring pulls it down, and it forces lubrication to all the different points.
But it takes hours to do that.
Yeah, exactly,
It really
exactly.
does.
Here's your fuse box.
Notice the Weber carburetor that's on there. It's an original Sandcast carburetor.
Wow.
So when I sent this, I won't mention the company, but there is a company that does great work on those carburetors for older cars and Webers. They offered to buy the carburetor from me and gladly give me one of their new carburetors in exchange.
Well, say hi to Mike for me.
Yeah. I found out they use them on early Ferraris, except there are two of them. And I think a lot of people would think the price the carburetor's worth is more than the car.
Wow. And how big an engine is that?
I think it was an 1100, but I don't
Okay.
want to swear to that.
Beautiful. Yeah, well, these are all unique to Lancia. My Aurelia has this. It has a separate one for suspension, and then one for brakes. Here you have them both integrated.
Notice the head. It's a V4,
Right?
and you have one head for both sides. And that came out in the Ardea.
And obviously it's aluminum. Yeah, yeah. So it's extremely light. And brakes are obviously drum brakes all the way around. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And it's just this, you're just this much over from being restored. It's just too nice.
Well,
Yeah,
where do you start and where do you
think
finish?
another 3 years in the carport, you probably would have had to restore it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's not leather, but that's a vinyl?
That's a vinyl.
Okay.
And I'm surprised, but it certainly appears to be the original interior.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Isn't it? Yeah.
Map pockets on the back of the seats.
Gotcha.
And you can see it was driven well up into the 70s by the speakers they put in the panels in the rear.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? Yeah.
It really
yeah.
is a shame.
Yeah.
It's interesting also because there's no hole for an antenna. So I don't know what they did. We still have the radio delete.
Oh, yeah, there's no radio, but they put speakers in.
I just, you know,
Huh.
unfortunately, there's no one for me to ask.
I guess none of the original family is around. You can't track down.
We bought it from one of the heirs, but he couldn't give us much history.
All right, let's come around. Let's go around to this side of the car. Let me ask you, are these trafficators? Do these flash, or is that just a side marker?
That's actually a marker light, and it probably did not leave the factory with those, Jay. Sometime mid to late 60s, Italy decreed that all the cars on the road had to have a side marker light.
Oh, okay.
So they could be seen at night.
Okay, wow. Even a retro thing, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing how many Alphas pre-war have those
Yeah.
on them today.
And it's obviously no electric windows. It's a wind-up window.
Wind-up window.
Did they do sunroof, Lancia? I don't even know.
I've never seen one other than the Wabasto, the soft ones, which
Right,
could
right.
be installed by the dealer. All the glass is original in the car, too.
Right.
It's
Can I open the door?
Sure.
I see what you mean about I mean, look at that. It's not structurally very sound, doesn't
Very
move.
sound. No, the rust is really surface rust, other than at the trailing end of the rear fender. And of course, a little bit in the trunk, which is perished from not having a trunk rubber.
Right, right. What part of Italy did it come from?
Came from Torino.
Okay.
If you notice the plates on it, NTO.
Oh,
and
okay.
Italian plates always have the city that it comes from.
Can we open the trunk?
Sure. One of the places that actually does have some rust, Jay, unfortunately the trunk rubber had perished, and while it sat in that carport, water was able to get in and take the bottom lip of that out.
And that's a heavy trunk, isn't it?
It is a heavy
It's
trunk.
aluminum or steel?
That's steel.
Yeah, that's steel.
Doors are the only aluminum part.
And you
of the car.
disconnected, oh I see, you disconnected the latch because it's breaking here.
Right. That's the one thing that I will do on this car is I'll have that rebuilt so a rubber can go back.
But it's a huge trunk. That's really an American size
It's
trunk.
a really big trunk, and you notice the upholstery is still there.
Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, cool.
Still latch as well.
Latch as well. Can we take it for a ride?
Absolutely. I'd love to take you for a ride.
Let's do it. Starts right up. Yeah.
I think the brakes. Yeah, the brakes off. The lights are on.
Yeah. I'm surprised some collector in Europe didn't get this ahead of you.
Nobody knew it was for sale.
Wow.
The person who bought it in between, the one I bought it from, Michael Harper Smith. Don't know if you've ever met him.
Michael Harper Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah, the motorcycle guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny.
For 2 years, I bugged him about this car.
Wow.
And he was just letting it deteriorate, and he was going to throw a cheap paint job on it and sell it.
Oh, man.
I'm like, Michael, no.
How many of these still exist, do you know?
I don't know, but they built less than 500.
Yeah.
I've got the number written down. It's like 470 something.
Have you ever seen another?
I've seen the convertible version of this twice.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Is that in the States?
yeah, they both live in Orange County.
Oh, okay. Very pleasant car to drive.
I think so.
Very nice, yeah. Massive heater.
Really big heater. I have this hose, but it's kind of ugly. Scoots along pretty good.
Goes very nicely.
What's really amazing is it runs 155 15s.
Yeah.
I would have thought this had 13s or 14s on it. It's got 15s.
It likes coasting. That brings the temperature way down.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, thank you very much. That's a real treat.
Well,
I mean, it's fun to drive a car that's like, you know, it's only original once, all those cliche things. But it's really true. I mean, it shifts perfectly. It starts right on the button. I mean, yeah, it's a few little things, but original Unrestored, this is what it's all about. And this car's kind of like us. Don't look that great, but hey, they run good and they're in good shape. So, Scott, thank you very much for saving this piece of history. It's you know, some people might look at this and just see an old car, but Scott and I see, here's a good way to throw a ton of money at something. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Hope you like this little piece of history. See you guys next week.
Mm-hmm.